The Baltimore Ravens must get their season back on track, and that'll start with a win against the Miami Dolphins. And the good news is Lamar Jackson is back in action. That and more on today's edition of Locked On NFL.
The new Locked On NFL. The madman Tyler Rowland is your double shot of NFL espresso with the Locked On local experts on every major story. Get ready, Rowland is revving up. The new Locked On NFL starts now. Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Football fans, welcome into the Locked On NFL podcast, bringing you a double dose of the NFL's biggest stories with help from our local experts that know your favorite teams like no one else. I am your host, the madman, Tyler Rowland, joined today by Locked On NFL expert, the data queen, Michelle Majuk. On today's episode, we're going to talk about an awesome Week 9 slate in the NFL. I think the Atlanta Falcons are in dear trouble as they head to New England to take on the Patriots. The Chiefs and the Bills face off once again in a game that'll give us some real answers. And of course, we start with Thursday Night Football, where Lamar Jackson is back. Before we dive in, thank you for making Locked On NFL your first listen. Reminder that you can follow our show and hear new episodes ad-free daily on Amazon Music, so go check that out. And thank you for being an everydayer here with us at the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by Prize Picks. It's Crossover Thursday, and Crossover Thursday is always presented by Prize Picks. Download the Prize Picks app today. Use the code LOCKEDONNFL to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup, and make sure to check out your favorite team's crossover episode. But with that being said, Michelle, again, we got a really good Thursday Night Football matchup, not because both the teams are good, but because there are some interesting storylines at play here. Lamar Jackson looks like he will be back for this game, and with Baltimore, they've kind of been one of those teams where they start out rough, but everybody knows in the back of your mind that Baltimore has a chance to go on a run here, and they kicked that off last week as Tyler Huntley saved them against the Chicago Bears. But they have a great opportunity to go to Miami and get a big win and kind of keep that momentum rolling.
Yeah, I mean, I called last week
You
that
did.
they're going to go on a 9-game winning streak. Now, I did say if Lamar was back, and they didn't even need Lamar back to get that first win streak under their belt. But yeah, I mean, this Dolphins game, I mean, Lamar's Lamar, no matter who he's facing, but he's always destroyed the Dolphins. The Ravens average 41 points per game and 478 total yards per game, and Jackson's 4 starts against the Dolphins. It's the most by any starting quarterback versus any single opponent
Oh my.
since 1950. Since at least 1950. I'm sure it's all time, but that's as far back as I could look.
That's fair. I mean, that is absolute destruction. And, you know, if the Ravens, the one thing about the Ravens is we could talk about Lamar and everything like that, but I was looking at the Ravens defense, and they have been awful throughout this year. I mean, they're bottom 5 in the NFL in scoring defense, but they got healthier last week. They get Kyle Hamilton back, and they hold the Chicago Bears down. They don't even score 20 points. And I think, you know, we could be encouraged by Lamar Jackson coming back, but that might be even more encouraging knowing that the defense is ready to get back on top. But outside of the defense, you do wonder about the run game, because Miami's run defense is bottom 5 in the NFL, averaging 145 rushing yards allowed per game. And we know Derrick Henry will take advantage of that, but there's actually another running back in Baltimore that's starting to get going, and it's their explosive satellite option, Keaton Mitchell, and the Ravens finally let him play, according to my guy Kevin Ostreicher from Locked On Ravens.
Keaton Mitchell getting involved. John Harbaugh talked about after the game how one of the things that they established during the bye week is they wanted to get Keaton touches, and again, took them long enough, right? I mean, not like we've been screaming for this since week 1, but I guess better late than never, although the fact that he was even benched or inactive the way that he was early in the season is still just absolutely horrible management by the team. Keaton, though, had 4 for 43 on the ground, 10.8 yards per carry. He was explosive every time he touched the football. And honestly, I say give him a couple more touches. I'd get him more touches next game. I'd say 5, 6, 7, get him involved a little more.
And the Miami Dolphins right now are bottom 7 in the NFL in missed tackles on defense. They've missed 56 tackles on the year. I think that while we're all focused on Lamar Jackson, Derrick Henry, all that, I think Keaton Mitchell could actually really hurt Miami in this game with his explosiveness out of the backfield and kind of give, you know, they have Devon Achane cooking over there in Miami. I think Keaton Mitchell could give you a little bit of that and give Miami some of their own medicine.
Yeah, they kind of need that because it does seem like maybe Derrick Henry is finally starting to slow down, hit that father time, maybe. But it was interesting because the Dolphins, I was thinking, were going to get destroyed by Bijan Robinson, and that didn't happen last week. No, I mean, they just took a huge lead, and the Dolphins did. Falcons are so confusing. We'll get to them later, but I don't think they're going to be able to do the same thing to the Ravens because you have that threat of Lamar Jackson running too, right? So the Dolphins defense is not going to be able to contain Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry and Keaton Mitchell. And this, I mean, I'm happy for the Dolphins. They got their second win last week, but the Ravens, I think, will handle this pretty easily in Miami. And like you mentioned, their defense is looking much better. The last 2 games, the Ravens defense has been so much better compared to the first 5 weeks of the season.
Yeah, 100%. And that's really what, obviously, like I've been saying, the offense is the bigger talking point because it's more fun to talk about Lamar and Derrick Henry. But the Ravens defense had been what was really disappointing for them early in the season. And if they can get back on track, this can be the 9 straight win Baltimore Ravens team that we might be talking about in a couple of months, as you said. But they will have to deal with some talented skill position players on Miami's offense. I mean, Jalen Waddle had a very good game last week. We know that he can make some dynamic plays. And like I mentioned, Devon Achane, absolute dog, and he's breaking records for the Miami Dolphins, as my guy Kyle Krabs from Locked On Dolphins talked about.
He is the fastest player in franchise history to 30 touchdowns. He achieved it in just 36 games. So we're 2.5 years into Devon Achane's career with the Dolphins, but he missed some time as a rookie, right? So in 2 games more than a 2-season allotment, he's reached 30 touchdowns in franchise history. That's an awesome number.
And he does it in so many different ways, catching the ball out of the backfield, catching the ball down the field like a wide receiver would, obviously running the football from the backfield position. Like he can really break the game open. So the Dolphins, they got to lean on him, but I think with just Waddle, Achane, it's not going to be quite enough to bully the Ravens. I think the Ravens win big in this one.
Yeah, it is interesting how good Waddle has been since Tyreek Hill has gone, right? You would think he'd be better with Tyreek Hill out there and, the coverage focusing in on him, but he's been really good outside of the Browns game that was in Cleveland, bad weather, but Waddle has really stepped up, and Achane's going to have to step up more as a pass catcher now that Darren Waller is already on IR after being with the team for 3 seconds. But yeah, there's just not enough weapons there to keep up. I think they'll be able to score some points, but I just don't know if this Dolphins defense will be able to stop the Ravens on more than 1 or 2 drives all game long.
Yeah, that's going to be a problem. And honestly, I don't even know if they can score the points. The Ravens are just always a better team out of the bye. They're just always and to me, that's a testament to coaching. And I know that John Harbaugh has caught in some ire this year and people are having conversations about his future and all that. But the Ravens are always a well-coached team from a big picture perspective and being ready and making adjustments during the season and all of that. So we could talk about in-game management and, personnel deployment issues and all that different stuff. But from the treetops, the Ravens are always going to be a well-coached team. And I think they continue their dominance out of the bye here with a win against the Dolphins. And we'll do another update next week as Michelle's prediction of 9 straight wins continues to roll on. But with that being said, the best game of the weekend is the Kansas City Chiefs against the Buffalo Bills. And I know it's in Buffalo, but I got to tell you, I think the Chiefs are just playing a lot better football than Buffalo right now. Do want to let you know that today's episode is brought to you by Prize Picks. Every day, you and I make decisions. But on Prize Picks, being right actually gets you paid. Don't miss any of the excitement of this sports season, whether you're following the NFL, the NBA, or both. There's no better time to jump in on the action with Prize Picks. If you haven't tried it yet, Prize Picks is the simplest way to play. All you got to do is pick more or less on at least 2 player stats, and if you get them right, you win. It takes less than 60 seconds to make your lineup, and you can play anywhere. Prize Picks operates, including California, Texas, and Georgia. Also, one of the things that I like the most is the new stacks feature because it's a game changer. Now you can pick more on Steph Curry's points, threes, and assists all in the same lineup. Plus, there's the injury reboot feature. If one of your players leaves early with an injury, Injury Reboot's going to save your lineup from a loss. Download the Prize Picks app today. Use the code LOCKEDONNFL to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONNFL for $50 in lineups after your first $5 lineup. It's Prize Picks. It's good to be right. Today's episode is also brought to you by Monarch. Let's be honest. Most of us can't name all our financial accounts, let alone what they're worth. Between 401ks, savings, and investments, it's easy to lose track, and that can mean leaving money on the table. That's why I started using Monarch. It's an all-in-one personal finance tool that brings your entire financial life together in one clean, easy-to-use interface on your laptop or your phone. It helped me organize my accounts, track my spending, get a better handle on my investments, all without ever touching a spreadsheet. And Monarch's visual dashboard and smart tools make it so much easier to understand where my money's going and how to make it work harder for me. Don't let financial opportunities slip through the cracks. Use the code LOCKEDONNFL at monarch.com for 50% off your first year. Once again, that's monarch.com, code LOCKEDONNFL for half off your first year. All right, Michelle, let's continue today's edition of Locked On NFL. We talked about that Thursday night football matchup between Lamar Jackson, the Miami Dolphins. Should be very interesting to see what plays out there because we didn't mention it, but every single week, Mike McDaniel is staring down the barrel getting fired. And if they get blown out by the Ravens, it might be enough to finally push that over the edge. But we do move to a great game, the best game of the week, the Kansas City Chiefs against the Buffalo Bills. And the Bills got back on track recently, crushing the Panthers, all that. But the Chiefs have been playing really good football. Not only are they playing well, but it looks like they're having fun out there, as our guys from Locked On Chiefs talked about.
The Chiefs, this might be the best four-game stretch that this team's had in a long time of just football on both sides of the ball. And they've certainly have had games where the offense played lights out, defense played lights out, but for both sides of the game, it's ball to be playing the way at the level that they are right now. And like I said, having the fun that they are right now, I don't know if I remember this in a long, long time.
I mean, honestly, it feels like for the last few years we've been talking about the Chiefs as a team that is kind of like their record is way better than the way that they're playing. Well, I don't feel like that now. I feel the opposite now. It feels like now that the Chiefs' record isn't indicative of how well they're actually playing recently.
Yeah, it's interesting because you watched that game on Monday night. In the first half, you're like, they don't look like the super scary team. I mean, they're playing against Marcus Mariota. They go into half 7-7. They're making stupid mistakes. They even got gifted the easiest, interception ever because Deebo Samuel tips it up. But then it goes the other way with Travis Kelce doing the same thing later on in the game. But I mean, I feel like outside of Travis Kelce making stupid drops and making stupid mistakes, this team is on fire. It's wild that Kelsey's the one that's doing that. But Rashee Rice back is just huge for this team. Clearly, He is scoring touchdowns left, right, and center. And then, Pacheco is injured right now, but they don't really have a run game anyway. So that's their biggest weakness is the run game. I don't think it's going to really hurt them moving forward without Pacheco.
No, and quite frankly, the Buffalo Bills' run defense has been a disaster this year. They're giving up 150 yards per game on the ground. So if there was ever an opportunity for the Chiefs' not so good run game to kind of get on track, it would be that. And then on the flip side of things, Kansas City's run defense is top 10 in the league. They're only allowing, or top 11 in the league, I should say. They're 11th. They're giving up 100 yards per game. So if you could slow down James Cook, you have a great opportunity to win this game. And I just trust the Chiefs defense way more than I trust the Bills defense, especially now Ed Oliver out. It seems like they're always banged up. And even when the Bills defense isn't banged up, whenever they play against the Chiefs, it just doesn't seem like their defense is able to get the stops when it matters. So I know that Buffalo is at home here, but I'm taking Kansas City. I think Kansas City is going to win this game.
I could see Kansas City winning it. Now, the Bills have won 4 straight regular season games against.
They always beat them in the regular season, it seems.
Yep. They beat them in the regular season, then lose in the postseason. So maybe this year they lose in the regular season, can figure it out in the postseason. I don't know. But now this year, unlike other years, they do have to worry about the other team, one other team in their division. And it's the Patriots who already have the lead in the division by half a game. So if they lose this game and then, the Patriots end up beating the Falcons, being a game and a half back, that doesn't feel great. And the Bills, we know, are so much better. I mean, they're good everywhere, but at home, they really dominate. So Josh Allen always steps up for these games. I think it's going to be a very, very close game. And like most of these games, it'll come down to who gets the ball in the last possession, right? Like which quarterback gets that opportunity. Is it Mahomes or Allen?
All I know is I cannot wait to watch that game regardless of who wins. Very excited for that matchup. But I think either way, we're going to get some answers on these teams. Because I think if Buffalo is capable of kind of beating a good team again, which I don't know that they've done in a little while, then we're going to see it here. And without Ed Oliver and all that, we're going to see it here, and we're going to know, okay, Buffalo's had a rocky start at times during the season, but they're still a great team. But if the Chiefs come out and whoop Buffalo, I think it will taint how people speak about the Bills going forward and how we see them in the AFC. And then with the Chiefs, they've been on a ride. They've been playing great football. But if they can't beat the Bills, then people are going to be like, is this team really, where we think they are? A lot of people have been saying that the Chiefs are the best team in the NFL, regardless of the record and the power rankings and all of that different stuff. I think this is a big answer game to know how we should really feel about these teams going forward. But you mentioned the New England Patriots, who right now currently lead the AFC East. They have been playing some great football, and this week they get to take on the Atlanta Falcons. And I got to tell you, the Falcons are in trouble because if Bijan Robinson and the Falcons couldn't get the run game going against the Miami Dolphins defense, then they are in trouble against the New England Patriots run defense, as my guys from Locked On Patriots talked about recently.
The Patriots have yet to give up a 50-yard rusher this season, which is kind of bananas.
Wow.
And they've had some good offenses they've played against as far as running the football. James Cook in Buffalo, they stopped him. The combination of Chuba Hubbard and Rico Dowdle in Carolina, they stopped those guys as well. So I think the run defense is the legit part of this defense that I have totally bought in. They've done it each and every week.
They have been insane in run defense. And if the Falcons don't get Bijan going, I don't know that they can win. And I know that against Miami, they didn't have Michael Penix. They didn't have Drake London. That makes it much easier to defend the Falcons' offense. But the Falcons have been a Jekyll and Hyde team all year long anyway. And I know for a fact that the Patriots are a better coached football team than the Atlanta Falcons. So with the Patriots defense, best strength going against what the Falcons want to do well, the coaching mismatch in this one, and the Patriots being at home, I got to be honest with you, you're going to hear about this game tomorrow in my Madman's Moneymaker because I think the Patriots are about to roll the Atlanta Falcons.
Well, the Falcons are so confusing, right? Because they get stomped by the Panthers, right? And you're like, well, this team can't be any good. And then they beat the Bills, and you're like, okay. And then they get stomped by the Dolphins, and you're like, I don't get this team. I don't get it. All very confusing. Now, I will say, I think it was a little exaggerated by him saying they faced some good run teams. It was really only James Cook. I mean, that is the only impressive team they faced, impressive runner they faced this year. Alvin Kamara stinks on the ground. Ashton Genty hasn't been doing much, even though he's like, that Raiders line stinks. It was Tony Pollard and your Titans. And he mentioned Hubbard and Rico Dowdle. That was before they went to Rico Dowdle. And it was just Hubbard really as the main back. Hubbard sucks. I mean, he sucks. I don't get what the Panthers are doing by going back to Hubbard, coming back. You got Jalen Waddle. You have Achane, sure, but he did it through the air, and that's what he normally does, not so much on the ground. So, like, they can use Bijan through the air as a running game. I think that's what they need to do. I do think the Falcons will surprise us if Penix and London can be back, but I still think the Patriots will end up winning the game. I do think it'll be closer, though, than people expect.
Ooh, that's an interesting one. Well, I'll take that as an early pushback on my Patriots bet that I'll throw out there. Nick Cattles from Locked On Patriots, who we just heard from, does the Thursday or the Friday show with me where I go over my best bets, and he always gives me the side eye when I pick the Patriots, thinking I'm trying to reverse jinx them. But I believe in their ability to beat mid teams. Like the Patriots are going to beat bad teams, and they're going to have good games with good teams. I just trust the process of what they're doing there, especially with the way Drake May is playing. But even you're right about using the short passing game as an extension of the run game, because if Michael Penix does play, got the bone bruise in the knee, probably not going to be 100%, even if he does go, get the ball out of his hands quickly. That'll be important for the Falcons in this one. But with that being said, we got another prime time AFC matchup between two teams that people don't necessarily believe how good they are with the Colts and the Steelers. But again, we're going to get some answers this weekend. Do want to let you know that today's episode is brought to you by Mazda. Mazda crafts cars for those who do more than simply move. Mazda delivers confidence with every ride with more IIHS Top Safety Pick Awards than anyone else as of August 2025. Whether it be footwork, whether it be breath work, we know our favorite athletes sweat all the details. Mazda brings the same attention to how they craft every model. You can feel the Japanese craftsmanship in every detail, from the metallic accents to the available Nappa leather upholstery. You can make everyday drives feel like anything but. From smooth handling to intuitive controls, with all-wheel drive standard in every crossover SUV, you can drive with confidence through almost any season. I tell you guys, every time I have a Mazda CX-5 at home, absolutely love it. I know you'll love a Mazda too. Like our favorite players, Mazda sweats every detail, because when you make every move count, impossible becomes irrelevant. It's Mazda. Move and be moved. All right, Michelle, let's cap off today's edition of Locked On NFL. We talked about Thursday Night Football with Lamar Jackson coming back against the Dolphins. Two great matchups between the Chiefs and the Bills, and then the Patriots and the Falcons. But now we go to another really, really fun game here between the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Indianapolis Colts, who might be the best team in the NFL, at least record-wise. They are, but I think this is another game where we're going to get some answers. Are the Steelers as fraudulent as maybe it looked? Are the Colts as good as they seem? I think it's kind of hard for people to completely believe in the Colts at this moment in time. And it's at times hard to believe in the Steelers with how up and down they can be. But at the end of the day, if the Steelers were able to win this one, it'll be a good reminder that because of their early season success and the rest of the division, they do control their fate here. And that's something my guy Chris Carter from Locked On Steelers reminded us of this week.
They're 4-3. They're still atop the division. And if they turn things around, as we've seen them turn things around before, they can absolutely still have a good season out of this. And the fortunate part of that is that they won a lot of those earlier games, getting to 4-1, where these two losses don't destroy them. They do hurt. They do waste an opportunity that could have been to put your foot on the throat of everyone else in your division, but you're still in a position where you can, if you turn things around, you can control your season. And
I don't know if this is fair, but if the Steelers beat the Colts this week, I think a lot of people will look at the Colts and be like, how real are they? And if the Steelers win this week, people are going to be like, or if the Steelers lose this week, it's going to be like, oh, they were complete frauds. So I think no matter what happens in this game, whether the Colts lose or the Steelers lose, there is going to be an overarching proclamation about the team.
I think if the Colts lose, it won't be too big of a deal for them if it's a close game. Like, let's say it's a super high-scoring game, 38-34 or something, right? And Aaron Rodgers has a beastly game, then I don't think it hurts the Colts. But if the Steelers end up losing this game, and especially if they get walloped, right, I think their season is shot, because they still have the Chargers. They still have play in Chicago. They have the Bills. They have 2 games against the Ravens still. They play at Detroit. A lot of hard matchups coming up, and this defense is so incredibly bad, and that's why this matchup is so scary, because the Colts offense has been absolutely on fire, ranking first in pretty much every category, while the Steelers defense is ranking right at the bottom in most categories, and they are dead last in passing yards per game allowed. Like, they're just been so bad, they can't stop anything. And Daniel Jones, I know we don't want to believe in him, but he looks good. It's not just his stats are good. When you watch him, he looks good.
No, you're 100% right. At this point, it's been halfway through the season. Daniel Jones is playing excellent football. You can't take it away from him. But look, I agree with you in the sense that if the Colts were to lose this game, it wouldn't be that big of a deal for them. It wouldn't hurt them that much in the division standings or anything like that. But I do think in the court of public opinion that the Colts, who I think people are just looking for a reason to not believe in the Colts because Daniel Jones, they weren't that great last year, all that. I think people are searching for it. So if the Colts give people a reason, they're going to take it. But I would agree with you in that I won't be one of those people. I still think the Colts are going to be a good team. But you're right about the Steelers. They will completely waste any of the goodwill that they built early in the season if they lose this game.
Yeah, I mean, it's not even gonna. Man, I hope the defense. For those who don't know, I'm a Steelers fan, and the defense is just not showing up at all. TJ Watt has just had games of being a complete ghost out there.
Yeah.
And this defense is getting paid so much overall as a unit. They're the highest paid unit in the NFL, and they can't do anything, and they're so bad. So very, very disappointing. Their defensive coordinator stinks, and they don't fire coordinators till many years past when they should have been. So there's no hope.
Right. It always takes Mike Tomlin way too long. And that's sort of the frustrating part about certain coaches like Mike Tomlin is they're loyal. And I get that. But at some point, loyalty is going to get you killed by being loyal to the wrong person. But we move to the final matchup of the episode, and it's the Denver Broncos against the Houston Texans in Houston. And this is another very interesting game where the Broncos 6-2. But I don't think a lot of people believe in the Broncos like a 6-2 team like you think they would. And then the Texans are now 3-4, and they started off really bad, but they're starting to get things together. And that's something my guy John Hickman from Locked On Texans talked about. The Texans are starting to stack good stuff together.
The matter is, the next time the Houston Texans play football, it'll be November 2nd. And if they win that game, now you're looking at Houston getting closer to that 7th seed. Now you're looking at Houston kind of rewriting the ship of the story of the season to this point. Now you're looking at a team that, we put together 2 wins in a row again. We're stacking good wins. We're stacking good days. And if they win on Sunday, how did they win? Was it another good performance from the offense? Was it another good complimentary game from both sides of the ball?
And if they beat the Broncos at 6-2, I think it'll be another one of those answer games where we say, okay, the Broncos aren't as legit as maybe their record says. And the Texans will be absolutely back if they win this game. So I think this could be a very interesting one. And I think depending on how the line shakes out by the time I record tomorrow's show, I think I'm going to be rolling with the Texans in this one.
I'm rolling with the Texans because it's in Houston, and the Broncos offense in general is so much better at home than away. It has been throughout Bo Nix's career the last 2 seasons. And, before this Cowboys game that was at home, and they did a great job. I mean, you beat up on the Cowboys. That's what you're supposed to do, right?
Right.
Before that, they barely could beat the Giants. They barely could beat the Jets. And they were losing pretty bad on the road to the Eagles before making that comeback. And then they beat Jake Browning the week before that. Who cares? In this game, it should be a low-scoring game between really 2 amazing defenses, but you don't have Pat Surtain on the Broncos side, and that could be the difference there. So since it's on the road, I'm going to take the Broncos losing this game.
It'll be interesting to see if the Texans are able to get Nico Collins back in the fold, because that would make the Pat Surtain absence even more important. But again, all of these games that we're talking about here, outside of maybe New England and Atlanta, I think you're going to get some serious this is how I feel about this team going forward answers from these games. But with that being said, that is going to do it for today's edition of Locked On NFL. I am your host, the Madman, Tyler Rowland, for my co-host, the Data Queen, Michelle Majuk, as we tell you every episode. Thanks for tuning in. Stay safe out there.
Bye, y'all.